Hello, welcome to my channel. Thanks for joining me. Comment, like, and subscribe. I will get back to your comments soon as. I know I'm taking a bit more time at the moment of them, but I will. Dean Henderson over in the States, doesn't make a difference. He's going to come in, did the story Friday morning, then the Times and the Telegraph just like ripped it off us. They didn't rip it off us. They were briefed by the comms. We don't get briefed by comms. We're not that big, unfortunately. But it does mean that we can sometimes get stories out before everyone else does. So, yeah, Dean Henderson's getting done. And Anthony Adeganga, I thought he was going to Everton at one point, but apparently not. So, yeah, that was always going to happen. Last summer, what can I say? He was very excited to go back last summer. I don't know, it was put to us like, well, he likes Sheffield a lot, so, he likes that area. So, anyway, I think he's just happy. The idea is he likes playing there and stuff, and he's, wants to be there, not Man United. I think that's quite clear, even from, like, his interviews and stuff like that. So, I'm fidgeting because the cushion's not on my bum properly. Yes, so Dean Henderson, been asking about Forest stuff, but I think you've seen their approach to transfers this window has been a bit different. They haven't really been briefing people that much. It seems to be the same here. Got the Henderson stuff, but other than that, it's been a bit, a bit thin on the ground. It's been a bit thin on the ground, to be honest with Forest, which is a shame, but it'll open up again. It's just what happens sometimes, the sources are not always there. You don't have a source for life because people move on to different areas and stuff, and so they don't become privy to certain information. Therefore, you have to kind of dig in and find something else. But yeah, so Forest, fantastic. Wilfred Gnonto, I think that might even get done, to be honest. Just on the inkling of the source himself. Now, people go, oh, what are you like, tier 1, tier 2 and stuff? And I've always said there's not really a tier, because I'm not going to go into the whole correspondence thing again, but it's like, let's say me, I think I'm tier 1 Man United, and you might not think so, but the trouble I have is it's inconsistent. I don't get consistently briefed about Man United, but when I do, it always comes off. Just check out our story on Amrabat, the whole thing about Højlund were the first to the personal terms, everything like that. It just comes off, but it's too inconsistent. Liverpool tier 2, tier 3 probably. We get the interest of the players, but beyond that it's quite difficult. Spurs tier 10, I don't have one. So, and it's like that for every reporter. You ask someone who covers Chelsea, what's happening over in Newcastle, they won't have a clue. It varies. And then also the fact I mentioned earlier about the correspondence can't just put out, it's not like me, they can't just put out. They have to sort of toe the line a little bit, otherwise they lose their spot. I really hope that's not WhatsApp and I haven't done that again. Oh, that's my girlfriend. Alright, okay, sorry. I'll get back to you soon. More important things at stake. So, tier is, I think is different for everything. And that's why the trouble is, if you are a tier who gets held in such a high regard, what happens if you get a story wrong? Because let me tell you, everyone's going to get a story wrong. You're not reporting here on, I don't know, a council meeting, like proper old school print journalism, local print journalism, a council meeting, what happened, why, we're talking about football transfers where businesses with agendas and people wanting moves and more money or whatever they want to carry in their favour. Sometimes even they want to sort of dismantle a club's reputation for an upcoming game. It happens. Let me tell you, it happens, especially if a game's got, it's an important match. I'm not going into that too much. That's something I've done. So in that, it's hard to kind of work out, who's right, who's wrong. Obviously, there's been a big, mistake perhaps by a reporter recently regarding, what I was to say is, Guardiola and Man City, medical done, verbal agreement. Obviously, it's not the case, and it's just not happening. And even German reporters asked the head coach of RB Leipzig, "Oh, what's happening here?" And he said, "No, It's funny, a reporter I know showed me his Facebook because he posted it, and people were like, "You're talking shit." Like, he's tier one. It's like, what? You can't. It's the manager saying it. Like, so it happens, and how do you go about it? I don't know for you guys what you like, whether you like to see reporters in the mud or whether you like them to sort of take ownership. I feel taking ownership goes a long way, because I feel it builds a sense of trust, and I feel there's a degree of transparency and there's a relationship between the reporter and the audience. And if you're saying, hands up, this didn't happen, then people will, I feel, maybe, and they'll be like this, and then they'll maybe believe you in the long run, I guess, is how I would approach it. I'd say, hands up, got that one wrong. But it happens all the time, The amount of reports have you seen about things that may take place and may not take place, but then it comes into the intrinsicies, I can't say it, of the actual story itself, because sometimes you can report interest and you go, oh, Ten Hag likes whoever. He likes Jude Bellingham. And they're like, where's Bellingham? Where's Bellingham? We said he'll bring Bellingham. I said, no, I said like he likes Bellingham. Doesn't mean they're going to get Bellingham. I'm not saying he's a medical has taken place or something like that. So there's different aspects to it, so it can be hard. And then even if you do hear a line from an agent, are they telling you the truth? And what I learned recently is just because they tell you the truth 9 times out of 10 doesn't mean on the 10th time it could be a little bit of a fabrication. And that's something I'm learning a little bit, because I got a story wrong about a player. I don't want to say the player simply because then you'd identify who it was, but there's a player and then it was like, oh right, that was actually wrong then, like, kind of thing. So it's hard to navigate. I saw someone, I did the Dean Henderson, I hope I didn't say Jordan Henderson before, Dean Henderson story before, and someone went, oh, just tell us when it's done. I'm sick of these rumours. So, well, get off Twitter then. If you're sick of rumours, why are you on Twitter following a site which extensively covers comprehensive transfer rumours? Just put your club on notification, sit back, have a cup of tea. When the notification comes through, they've signed the player, then happy days. Don't get annoyed at us because we're putting out content. Do you know what I mean? But for journalists, just saying, like, no one will know about this Henderson thing until, maybe in 2 weeks. So, and that's eases the clubs in some way. I'm not saying necessarily us, but other reporters who put it out, the Times and Telegraph and stuff. So, I've mentioned before about dunking, and I'm going to get into this a bit more. This window has become more volatile. Your reporters are more competitive, which is fine to a degree. But I feel that because of how hard the arena is, there should be sort of a mutual respect there about this guy is dealing with it as well. Why are we dunking? And dunking, if you don't know, is basically putting out a contrasting story pretty much an hour later to your own to show that your information is right and theirs isn't. Because all reports, basically, unless it's exclusive information, they've gone to an agent and they've gone, oh, I don't know, ASM, Samaximam, he's liked by Fulham. And I'm like, well, that's exclusive information because Fulham, I haven't seen his name attached to Fulham, bang it out there. But 99% of it, and 90%, I'd say 95%, is more reporters will see a story online and they'll chase that line for themselves. And then further reports on top of that. That's most of the stories you'll see is always in dialogue with what's been read initially. The reporters will find out their own information, get their own turn on it. Precisely what happened to Guardiola as well. It's been done. Has it been done? No, it hasn't been done. I'm going to ask you live on TV. Has it been done? No, I know if it's done, and that's the story. Then it goes through. So that's how they operate normally. Reporters, So that I understand to the degree of that. What I don't agree with is attacking reporters where it's like the dunking I've had recently has been dunking over something I haven't even reported on. It's a story which I said there is interest there possibly down the line, but they're not in the race. Then someone dunked to me saying, despite the rumours, there are no talks between, and I'm like, I didn't even say that. Also, if someone puts out a story and then a little follower. I don't mean to say that in a condescending way. I just mean, you know, you've got 20 followers and they at you, and you know, it's not some big site asking you so everyone's going to see it. Oh, but X didn't say that, you know, kind of thing. What do you reckon? And then that person replies into the same at and then says it's wrong what that one is. I'm hoping making sense. And then deletes it. And I kind of think, because they're wrong and they're not acknowledging it, you're only dunking on someone like for a time and then you're kind of cowarding away from it. I think that's really off as well, to be honest. There's a lot of etiquette I've made in my own head about this, basically, and how I feel that, you know, you should never. I spoke to, when I was very first started, I spoke to a reporter in a Newcastle reporter, and I was doing this thing where I was trying to basically, with all the Newcastle reporters, I thought if I gave the numbers and that, then in turn they, I don't know, give me numbers. It never really happened. I just ended up giving them numbers and not much in return. I don't know, without actually asking, if I was too afraid to ask, basically. And there was a story that came out which contradicted our own, and then he goes, and I go, oh, when you put that out, and he goes, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not, because it's just lack of respect. I'm not going to like put something completely contrary to what's out there because it's just out of order. Like, I wouldn't want it done to me. And I was kind of like, oh yeah, to be fair, maybe that makes sense. So I wouldn't do that. But people do. It's getting worse and worse. People are really happy, it seems, to do that with their own information, and, you know, just to splash on each other. I think to a degree the audience kind of enjoys it. If you look on Twitter and stuff, there is like, oh, they're fighting, oh, look, journo versus journo and stuff. And I suppose for me, I don't know if you haven't noticed, but this window for me, and I've said this to myself, just breeze for it. Just breeze for it. Not gonna be too much of anything, just some sound stories, get it out there and just take it easy. I'm still learning, I'm still making mistakes here and there, and then, you know, for the next summer it'll be a lot better. I just feel probably with the Caicedo story I did in January, I just can't be doing that again. Well, I was a menace. I was just like, put everything out. So yeah, that's how I want to operate, really. But getting there, I guess. So yeah, the climate is harder, it's more volatile, more aggressive. People obviously want to be held in high esteem on the social media app. For some reason, that's their joy. It's not really my joy. I don't really find it entertaining to dunk and humiliate someone else, but people get off on that for some reason. I don't know why, but people get off some really strange things, don't they? So yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. I don't know how you, but that's just me as a reporter seeing things. I don't know what you guys think. And I've always said, you know, reporters who agree are very self-important individuals. They think they're doing like the Lord's work. It's like, oh, this is so important. Football is the highest echelon of the human condition, and this kind of thing. It's not, it's football. That's just what they're like. So yeah, but maybe I get told sometimes, like, just because you find football kind of funny and like entertaining, I see it as an entertainment, it can be much more important to other people. Like, I'm not the best fan in the world. I seldom watch Newcastle, like go to a game or season ticket. Like, I just don't really like. I love them, I support them and stuff, but I'm not like absolutely, you know. But some people are, and I need to realise that sometimes, I guess. People really are passionate about things, and it is like a massive deal for them because, you know, their father watched it, and so, you know, this kind of thing. So I suppose I'm waffling now anyway. But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, we're reporters, and how they've been and how toxic it's becoming. It's kind of dangerous. Like, there are certain names and certain clubs I don't want to touch, simply because if I did, I know that someone like is going to tell someone to just go over the top of that and just try and smash it out of the park and just try and be rid of it. And I'm just like, I can't be asked for that. You know, these are people's careers we're talking about, like, sometimes, and people don't realise that. Regardless of what I think about reporters and what I think about, you know, football reporting in general, it is rent money, it is puts a roof over your head, it is support for children, perhaps in some cases, it's people's careers. And the dunking I find quite sinister, because you should be aware of that. This is people's livelihoods you're talking about, and the reputation's all you've got. if my reputation was absolutely nothing, all I did was I was Don Ballon, then I just wouldn't have a job. Do you know what I mean? Where would I be? I don't know where I'd be. I'm probably just doing PR somewhere. It's hugely important that people don't just try and humiliate people, or smash on their reputation, I feel. And yeah, so furthermore to that, a little bit on Newcastle again, and I know I've sort of said this whole thing before. I as a reporter, and you may feel completely different about this, I don't like how they're treating those correspondents. I really don't. And I've always said about correspondents, yes, they should do better with their sources. They're always going to be they're always going to have to put the club one out. But they should put more effort in some of them. That is kind of like, the club say this, I will say this, and there's no formulaic process of finding that out, verifying that, digging out that person's agent or anything like that. It's just like, okay, excellent, put it out. But at the same time, these Newcastle reporters are people I've watched, engaged with when I was growing up, probably like mid-20s or something when I started. Currently, I'm a little boy. But no, they were great. They gave us loads of information stuff, and I just think back to the Benitez years and what was going on. It was fantastic. Like, it was really extensive coverage of targets and stuff, and they're all reliable. So something's changed. I'm not saying they're not reliable. I'll get into that in a bit. Just right now, I'm reading NUFC blog as just the best source for Newcastle transfer information, and I'm mates with the editor of it, Ollie. He's lovely. He's done fantastic work. He's found his own stories. He's found his own sources. He's the most reliable outlet for Newcastle news at the moment. And I'm not just saying that. I read that and I'm like, that, and they come true. And I read them. I'd read his stuff, that site stuff, more than any national newspaper correspondent for transfer stories. And while that's great and I'm really happy for him, at the same time, it's a testament to just how little the club are giving the reporters, especially this window. They didn't do as much last summer. They briefed them about Botman. They briefed them about Hugo. The people to forget this, but the Isaac story came through the Telegraph. I think it broke when it actually happened, perhaps in Spain. And I feel that at the moment, the club have just been absolutely atrocious with them. And I understand you couldn't care less about that. As I said before, you're most likely not a reporter or in the industry. You got your 9 to 5 or whatever you do in the city doing fun. I don't know. But as being a reporter myself, I think it's harsh. I think it's harsh because these are people's livelihoods, as I said. And I don't like the canning that. I think they're getting really canned online. And I don't think it's right. And okay, maybe one or two of them go about it the wrong way in their attitude sometimes, and perhaps they could curb things a little bit more than they do. But there are others who I don't feel deserve it at all. It's unnecessary, and that I just feel the club should just give them a bit more, to be honest, because the coverage of the club hasn't been damning, despite it's been very it's been very healthy. But I honestly rather see the sources of any UFC blog than any of them, because what the club is saying to them is either the slight truth, a complete falsehood, or it is the truth which has been shadowed in a way which doesn't reveal the total truth. Big example, we have no money because of FFP. How much money have you got for the budget? We've got nothing. We've got nothing. We have nothing. We have absolutely nothing. And then, of course, sell one player, unlocks FFP, probably can afford about 2-3 more players. Didn't mention that though, didn't mention that. We have nothing. So it's Tonali was broke in the Italian media. There are about 5 different outlets who got it before And then their briefing to the Athletic, they actively used the reporter as a smokescreen, which I just found really off, to be honest. Like, fucking telling someone, oh yeah, and I really find it off that that reporter would even put that out, because I think it's his mate. I don't know behind it, but I think, like, I'd be really pissed off if that was me being used as a smokescreen. And then you put Romario in the equation of this as well. Romario is 90% of all transfer stories, I'd say. He's 90%. It's hard enough. It's hard enough. And then you have clubs strangle holding these reporters even further. The industry is completely fucked, to be honest. I don't even see how there can be correspondence in 10 years, would be my guess. Who's going to pay for a correspondent? I don't think the Athletic will be around in 10 years' time. I think it's just going to go completely... I think I'm all right, because we're not a paper. We're covered in club. We don't have a club correspondent. Touch wood, you know, like, so we'll be fine. But it's people's livelihoods. You know, this isn't when you're sort of taking the piss out of a report and you're saying, oh, you got it wrong, you're not getting any information. Like, you're getting nothing, kind of thing. And then I just feel if your employer, I'd be like really concerned, and I'd be like, am I going to have a job? Because maybe there is some truth that the club are just giving me nothing. How can you report on something if they refuse to give you some? Like, I guess it was almost easier in the Ashley years, because it was like, yeah, the club are banning us, but it's kind of like, you know, you can still do it. But now you can't really even attack the club about it. Maybe I'm just being really condescending. I don't know. I don't mean to be. But while I don't think there's any seriousness to football transfers, just a bunch of millionaire knobheads flopping around, some billionaire businesses manipulating people, and the spinning stuff in the media for their own agenda, what I do take seriously is people's livelihoods and their jobs in this field, because it's being eroded quite severely at the moment, to be honest. I'm not the only one who feels this way, by the way. Not so much about the correspondence, but, you know, about how it's just sucking the whole thing dry, man, Liz. Like, some of them are pompous dickheads. Like, you know, I always say fucking football reporters, journalists are the most self-important, sanctimonious motherfuckers, like, going around, but it doesn't mean I don't think they should lose their job over it, you know, like. So, yeah, but guess it's not my problem, I suppose. And not to take away from MUFC blog, give them a like, give them a follow and stuff, because, like, they're just spot on. They've just broken about Lewis Hall now at Newcastle. I imagine we'll see that in the media in a month's time, which has been their, you know, their how they've been going about things recently, to be honest. So anyway, I guess I'll leave it there. Streams will be back as per August 16th, 17th. I'm flying around at the moment, but I'll be back and moved into my new place, and, you know, new season will kick off and all that jazz. So lots of exciting things to look forward to. All right, guys. Speak soon in a bit.